Hello friends, hope you're well. Techman Pat here. Today we are reviewing the TCL 10 Pro Android smartphone, a premium Android smartphone. It looks the part and it has HDR10 and some other really exciting features. So let's get started with the review of this mobile phone, and big thanks to TCL for sending me this device for review. Let's roll the intro. The sleek TCL 10 Pro is an absolute gem to hold in your hand. But let's get some of the formalities out of the way. This phone is not 5G, and that's okay because I have an iPhone 12 Pro and I have yet to even see the 5G icon on my phone, let alone actually use it. So for now, and maybe the next 3 years, a known 5G iPhone will be fine. But here are the bands it supports, because it does support quite a few. There is also no Wi-Fi 6, but here is the Wi-Fi test versus an iPhone Pro and my PC connected directly to the router. And like I have said a few times before, unless you have a Wi-Fi 6 router, having Wi-Fi 6 on your mobile device isn't going to change your life. Now what shocked me is the mobile performance, with my iPhone barely getting 4G connection, but the TCL 10 connecting quickly and with brilliant speeds. Now I tested this multiple times, turning the phones on and off, swapping out SIMs, and I could not believe how well this performed. With that in mind, it has a dual SIM card support, which I personally like but hardly ever use, especially since you can't travel anywhere for now. Then on the inside, it runs the Qualcomm Snapdragon 675 octa-core, which is on the lower end of the lineup and not very pro. Now, unless you're a hardcore gamer, you won't really notice anything in day-to-day use. And it also has the Adreno 612 GPU, 6 gigs of RAM, and 125 gigs of internal storage. It supports VPNs and NFC, including Google Pay, and I have to say the Google Pay has come a long way. It can directly connect to your Gmail for your membership cards, and take that as you want. Google has their fingers in all your data anyway. Now the charging on this phone is fantastic. The 18-watt quick charge 3.0 means you'll be at 50% in around 35 minutes, 38, and after a few tests it was damn spot on. On that note, the battery is actually great too. I got 2 days out of it on medium use, work and music. This phone is unlikely to survive much of a fall, and I haven't really tested it because I'm also having to send it back. They probably wouldn't appreciate that kind of test being done. But in reality, with anything else that is made of glass, it can shatter. This is certainly your latte sipping on the table kind of phone. It's powder coated metal chassis with a satiny matte etched glass back that looks and feels similar to the new lineup of OnePlus phones, but it feels great and there are no protruding camera bumps. The flash is a little bit protruding, but you know what? It doesn't need to be clean, and if it scratches, it's fine and protects the cameras from when you put it down. It also has an any button, which you can remap. The side button here launches anything you want it to do, which is exactly what Samsung's Bixby button should have been from the start, but this actual phone here does it a lot better. This screen is an amazing AMOLED HDR10 with a max of 600 nits. That's how bright it can get. It has 6.47 inches of phone with an 89.5 screen to body ratio. It runs a resolution of 1080 by 2340 pixels and with the odd 19.5 by 9 ratio, which has a 398 pixel per inch density, which is really good for a phone this size. Within the screen, you can also have a fingerprint reader, which is actually a little bit slow. Nonetheless, you can also add your face to unlock it with that, so double tapping and it will use your face to unlock, and it's actually pretty darn quick. So doubling up adds a bit more security also, but it also means you can get to your phone a lot quicker. Now, once you know where the placement of the fingerprint is here, you'll find it even though it disappears. You'll be able to just tap and find it and it'll unlock the phone. You do have to double tap sometimes. It's not the fastest thing in the world. And of course the screen is always on, and oh man, it looks amazing. The colors are fantastic. Consuming content on this is absolutely a dream. Though gaming performance is lacking, as I mentioned, I don't think someone who wants to play games would be buying this phone anyway, and your general card game will be fine on this. But watching a movie on this on the train or on a plane, if you get to be on one, is absolutely fantastic. Now this phone is not without its faults. Sound. It has a mono firing speaker at the bottom, so it's not stereo for both the actual ear speaker and the bottom one, so be sure to use some headphones if you're enjoying some media. You can in fact utilize Bluetooth 5.0 for a stable and high quality connection. The camera is where this phone really shines, and over the years I have seen Android phones go from the worst cameras over to some of the best. The only problem here is that it's a bit of a hit and miss. Sometimes you get one of the best photos you have ever seen, and the next it'll be pretty average. Tech-wise, this has a 64 megapixel camera, 16:5:2 all on the back, and a face-firing 24 megapixel camera. And while the numbers seem wild, I would say the image processing and software is where the bulk of the work is being done, which means that if TCL chooses to do so, they could get even more performance out of the cameras. Now, video on the other hand works really well with enough video types to suit most people. You'll be able to capture that birthday or wedding speech in all its 4K glory. The highlight for me is the stabilization and focus. Both work really well and fast and are a standout on this phone. Now, what's it like to actually use day to day, the phone calls and messaging? Well, of course, Android experience on the messaging side works really well. All the messages send really quickly, and you can choose what messaging app you use. So it's really down to you, and the performance there is fine. Sometimes there was a lag with the Google keyboard, but it was very rare. And on the phone call side, most of my phone calls were absolutely clear, apart from sometimes when it wasn't as clear, but it turned out to be the other person. More or less, the Vodafone plan that I'm on seems to be giving me very good signal, and so along the lines of the phone quality, I can say it's absolutely fine. And the loudness of the top speaker is actually really good too. I was able to turn it up, and sometimes on a quiet moment inside my room, I didn't even have to use a loudspeaker, which works fine too. Now, for the Android experience, it is running Android 10 out of the box, but you can update it to the 11 straight away. I would suggest you do so for obviously all the right reasons, security and so on. With that in mind, TCL committed to Android 11 back in May, and that's great, but has not committed to anything after that. This is one of the biggest problems with non-Google Android phones. Ongoing OS support. Sure, you're spending a lot less. By that I mean it's almost 1/4 of the price of an iPhone 12 Pro, for example. But the iPhone will be supported longer, and if you don't crack it or anything like that, I would suggest from experience you'll have it for a lot longer. As a side note, at the moment JB Hi-Fi has the TCL 10 Pro on sale for 599 Australian dollars. Overall, the Android install is very clean. You can have multiple instances of certain apps that allow you to log into things like Facebook with 2 different accounts and keep them separate as 2 separate apps on the desktop, and with very little bloatware overall. I was pleasantly surprised, but I'd be a lot happier if they let me delete some of them too. Now, overall, my experience has been smooth in Android, but I have some slowdowns and lags at odd moments. I couldn't pinpoint exactly what it was, but overall it was very fluid experience most of the time. So price, I saw it for 749 Australian dollars, and I would be very careful who I recommend this phone to at that price. At the current sale price of $599, I would be more influenced to suggest it to many more people. You see, there is a lot of choices with mid-range to budget Android phones right now, and from experience, most Android phones last 1 to 2 years before updates end and Android just tanks. So for $599, this Pro is right in that sweet spot for 2 years, and you know, your mileage may vary. You could get much more out of it too. I'm impressed with TCL's offering. The build quality is fantastic. The screen is brilliant. HDR10 content on Netflix looks fantastic. And overall, the phone is just great. They play to their strengths in regards to the screens, and like with their TVs, they have budget options and TVs that are really good and cost a little bit more. Their offering is fairly well priced in this regard, and you'll be more than impressed if you pick this up on sale. I think I would suggest that at that price, it's actually a really good buy. So friends, thank you very much for watching this review of the TCL 10 Pro. Let me know your thoughts below. Make sure to like this video if you did, and subscribe to support this channel. Thanks for watching, and big thanks to TCL for sending me this phone for review. I love the color, by the way. Oh, it's brilliant. Catch you all in another one. Bye!